Hello, dear audience. I welcome you to a newly launched podcast, Scientist for Fun. I am Shipra, a neurovascular researcher in Dr. Albert Gonzalez's lab, University of Nevada, Reno, United States. I am so excited to bring a first episode where we will be exploring fascinating topics like science, research, medicine, and innovation, featuring conversation with thought leaders and experts like the one we have here. So, if you are a science enthusiast, a student, or just curious about incredible advancement in research, medicine, and innovation, welcome, you're in the right place. It is an absolute honor that we have Dr. Rajesh Rangaswamy as our very first guest in this podcast. He is an expert in neural intervention, neuroradiology, and vascular interventional radiology. Dr. Rajesh, welcome on this show.
Thank you for having me.
So, Dr. Rajesh Rangaswamy has decades of expertise and innovation that he's bringing to the table with medical foundation from Coimbatore Medical College, Tamil Nadu, India. And he has advanced his medical training from Gujarat Cancer and Research Institute. He further specialized through fellowships at Rush University. Currently, he serves as a director of neurointerventional services at renowned Regional Medical Center, Reno, Nevada, United States. And he's also an associate clinical professor at the University of Nevada, Reno. Dr. Rajesh has made significant contributions in cutting edge radiological techniques. We couldn't have asked for more accomplished guests to kick off this journey. So I would really thank you for being here. So, yeah, to begin with, we all know that cancer is such a terrifying word. It's like the moment we hear cancer, we all are in terror.
Yes.
And we also know that cancer is not just one disease, but a combination of more than 200 diseases. So, what do you think could be some of the most common cancer risk factors?
Yeah, so the cancer risk factors, the most common, it's environmental. Like you can divide, risk factor into genetic risk factors or maybe environment induced or maybe viruses. So, but the most common right now, if you want to pinpoint one thing, and you can, point smoking as a, leading, cause of lung cancer. But there are various factors there. Like it's very difficult to, point one.
That's great. That makes sense, yeah. And what about carcinogens? Like, whatever we eat, always we get to hear, oh, this is carcinogenic. But I think it's more of a misinformation.
Yes. So let's start with, you can divide, basically you breathe and you drink and you eat, right? Like that's three things, you can't avoid, like you need it for survival. And when you breathe, there are some, chemicals. For example, you can, because of fossil, burning and diesel and all, there are some chemicals which can go and that can act as like anti, the genetic, it will go and disrupt our cell mechanism, and the cells kind of stops proliferating at certain period. Like if this carcinogen goes and hits some our DNA, and the cell can automatically doesn't stop growing, it just proliferating itself. So that's why this carcinogen will uncontrolled proliferation of cells can cause the cancer. So there are different mechanisms. It's difficult to put in one sentence, but the carcinogen is the one which will go and affect our cells' ability to stop proliferating itself.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's interesting. It's like you don't have any one factor, but it's like a combination of several factors.
Yeah, the combinations, for example, like you can say like in water, right? In water, there may be some heavy metals like arsenic there, or maybe when you're eating, like if you eat fish, for example, there may be some heavy metal again.
Arsenic, yeah.
Arsenic is there, or a pesticide. Maybe there are, if you're living area, maybe in Nevada, the radon is, natural, this rays can cause a lung cancer. So there's multiple, and then the viruses. The other thing is viruses like hepatitis B virus and Epstein-Barr virus, human papilloma virus. That's another common cause of cervical cancer. So that's what now we are doing a lot of vaccinations to prevent that.
That's wonderful information. So, like talking about the lifestyles, we are more towards the frozen foods, right? We we say we are busy and we don't have time, and then we just go to a store, we get some frozen food. So I think lifestyle is also playing an important role. So my next question to you would be like, are there lifestyle changes that reduce a person's risk in developing cancer in today's world?
Yes, so the cancer, like I said, it's all mainly, if you understand the basics behind the cancer, and it's easy to, the basics is like the cell there, and then inside the cell, there's something nucleus, and then inside of that, there's DNA, right? So the DNA is it has got the code, and it sends the signal, and the cell will make a new cell, right? And then because the old cell will die and the new cell will, come. That's the basic mechanism. So what happens in the cancer is basically the cell loses the ability to stop proliferating, like I mentioned before. So the genetics play the major role, right? So if you're born with the bad genes, unfortunately, then you have a more chance of a cancer. It's not like there are some genetic defects. You will have 100% cancer, unfortunately. Like, for example, a breast cancer, there is a typical gene, and you might have heard, like, celebrities, like they do, and double mastectomy because they have got that particular gene, right? But otherwise, there's millions of defects there that some are found or some are not found. So if you're born with that, then you have a chance of more chance of developing a cancer, right? So that's one part which you can't change it.
Right,
It's already fixed.
Yeah.
But then the other part, the environmental, like what you drink, what you smoke, what you breathe, or what you eat, and how you live, or do you take any preventive measures, so that you can change it. For example, like if you are born with a genetic condition, you're a little prone, but if you live in a healthy lifestyle, then your chances of cancer can go down. So that starts from, you can do some preventive measures like a vaccination, or you can do them screening test, or you can eat, drink, and right things. We can go on and telling every cancer, but yes, the lifestyle modification and sort, it will change the chance of your getting a cancer.
Yes, so this is one of the important questions that we get. It's like, somebody had a very good lifestyle, like very disciplined way of eating and sleeping, sleep cycle, everything is perfect, but still that person has cancer. It's like a bad genes, like you can't help it.
Yes, so yeah, it's a bad genes. Even it's always, life is all about chance, right? Like so it is always our gene, our DNA. Every second there is some thing is happening, wrong mutation is happening. Every second is in our body, in all, like a lot of cells in our body. So, but our body has got another checkpoint, is ability to repair it. So it's keep on happening and it's repairing, and one fine moment, some mistake happened, then it didn't repair, and then that cell get hold of our whole body. So it's always about chance. So now, imagine if you don't smoke, you may get a cancer. But for example, that may be, I'm just telling, like maybe 1 in 1,000, right? Like just
Makes
a
sense,
random number, just don't. But if you smoke, then the chance will decreases, like increases to maybe 10 in 100. So it's always there. But then if you live, and then someone who's smoking, he may be at that 90%, like he still smokes and didn't get it. But then someone who doesn't smoke, even like is like 1 in 1,000, but he may be that 1%. That's the whole thing. So, but
Right.
in your life, you want to live your life taking the less chance. That's like a driving, right? Like if you drive at the 40, what will happen? Like there is a less chance of getting hit, right? But if you drive at 200, is more chance of getting hit. But still 40, if you're driving even slowly, someone gets hit and died, and someone who's driving 200 may not even have an accident. So it's all about chance.
Yeah.
But you have to live a good life and lifestyle, and to prevent the cancers occurring.
Wonderfully explained. So, yes, to your audience, it makes sense. So, you need to have a good, stable lifestyle, like eat fresh food and, like have a healthy sleep cycle. And that could prevent, like having cancer. Go for the screening test. So, yeah, moving forward. So, who is most at risk of having cancer, any type of cancer? I know it's a very general question, but
So the most risk is everyone has got some risk, but mainly if it's usually age. Again, the age, if you are younger, you have a less chance of getting a cancer. There's no doubt about it. Again, it links to the genetics because our cells are like ability to repair more and all. But if you're reaching 40 or 50, then your chances of cancer going up. So, and then women, for some reason, means because breast carcinoma is so prevalent, so that they are like high risk of having the breast carcinoma. And then for men, lung cancer is very common. So the age is, age is the factor. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's really good to know. And so, like, are there any emerging technologies? Because I remember in one of the conferences we had at the Renown, you were talking about the cathedral, and you were trying to, like, make it affordable for people, also not just in the United States, but also back in India and other
Yes.
countries.
Yeah. So that's a good. So it's all. So it's about prevention, right? Like
Right.
prevention is the word. Like you can divide prevention into four,
Yeah.
like a primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary, like four types of prevention. So the primary prevention is something you don't want to, there's something you can do which will prevent the disease occurring itself, like from the beginning. So that's the lifestyle thing. So eat and drink good, good lifestyle, and basically there is a four pillars of health. So one is like diet, another one is exercise, another one is sleep. We can go on talk about sleep, but not today maybe. And then the other thing is mental health. So there are like four pillars of health. Like when you do these things correct, and then there's you can prevent it. You can prevent. So that's one thing. So what is then the second thing is a secondary prevention. That is something occurred. That's what your question is. Maybe a small cancer, already happened, but it is not full-blown cancer yet, but it is small. So if you find that, then you can remove it or treat it before it become like a big and not treatable. So that's the whole point about screening. So let's start. There is multiple screening methods, but the most common the screening methods, if you ask me, it's a mammogram. Because you asked the question like the woman breast cancer, and then the mammogram usually starts at the age of 40, 50, and then there's the protocols, and then so then mammogram is the scan which x-rays your breast and find tiny cancers at the early stage, so that can detect and then you can cure the cancer. So then the next common screening method is colonoscopy. That's the colon cancer is very common again, and in the men, women. But then anyone 50 years and above or 45 years and above is depends on the recommendation. You go routine colonoscopy, then find this cancer at the early stage, and there are like 5 screening methods. very common, like we use for a cervical cancer, something called pap smear. It's very important when you're young, and pap smear or maybe some detection of some genetic thing you can find and prevent, find the early cancer. And then the next one is breast cancer from mammogram, then colon cancer for a colonoscopy, and if you're a smoker, a lung CT scan, and a prostate specific antigen for prostate cancer. That's kind of a debatable because it happens in old age. Even if you find it, sometimes the treatment itself may not, it may do more harm, the treatment procedures, than the cancer. So that's kind of debatable. But these are the main screening. So you go to the doctor. The message is every year you go to the doctor. And then the doctor will tell you what screening methods you have to do. It's not like you need to, think about, these things.
Perfect. And what is pap smear like?
Pap smear is like, so in, they go and they test in your cervix. They take the
Secretion.
the tissue,
Oh,
and then
okay.
they will examine under microscope. That's a smearing. They're taking the
Oh, okay,
so
yeah.
that microscope and find out the early cancer at the epithelial level, where the cancer in your cervix, it's still at that superficial level, not going deep into that tissues.
Okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's like a lot of information, and it's very generalized. I think it would be good for our audience to understand in a simplest way, like without like avoiding to use the medical and scientific terminologies. So yeah, following up on that, what do you think as a doctor? Like, what improvement can you make in this detection or screening of the treatment or any technology?
Yeah, so the improvement is it's a big question. Like, there are, the cancers are increasing, right? You all know.
Yeah.
So as a government level and a community level, there are something needs to be done to prevent the cancer, but which you don't have a control. You may have a control when you elect someone, but but that level, because the government has to avoid some things to avoid the the carcinogens in the system, in the environment, right? Like a water safety, air safety, and all those things. Like, for example, like diesel causes diesel burning causes cancer. So this is the government level, but at the personal level, you need to do certain things to prevent cancer yourself.
Yes.
That's what we discussed, the primary prevention,
Correct,
the four
yeah.
pillars of
Yeah.
health. Not that's the primary prevention. Then the second thing, whatever you do, like we discussed before, the chance. Life is all about chance, right? So then you may get a cancer even if you live in a country or beautiful where the environment is cool and this and that, but still you may get a cancer at the early stage. So how do you do? So then you make sure you go to the doctor. That's the message I want to give. Like, it's too much to think about all this, but if you go to the doctor, where the doctor is an expert, like primary care physician or family, they are expert in, first of all, they can teach you a healthy lifestyle, and the second, they can do some tests, some radiological tests, like we mentioned, we discussed, like, for example, mammogram or colonoscopy. They know every year the recommendation changes. Vaccination, human papilloma virus, like HPV vaccination, they have to prove. So they will advise you on what to do based on the scientific evidence. So that's what, because there is a lot of things we can discuss outside that evidence, but now we all go with the science and backup, like the studies done and proven, okay, this is cancer causing. So your doctors will tell what to do and then follow the doctor's advice.
Yes.
So that's a simple thing, rather than finding a lot of information in the internet.
Correct.
And it may be very misleading.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? So that's
Yeah.
my advice.
That's a great information for our audience that, do not go to WhatsApp University or Google University. but please stick to your doctor's advice, and that would help you to like definitely a certain extent. And one last question. So, as an expert, what would be your like one piece of advice for someone concerned about having a cancer or somebody who is prone to having a cancer?
Yeah, so I think we discussed, one piece of advice if you're worried about cancer, or more, is the screening. That's
Screening.
the
Okay.
if the screening, to you can find the early detection. So that's a secondary prevention, right?
Okay.
Secondary, and then the primary prevention is which you can do, which is the healthy lifestyle, which is non-smoke. That's the biggest known cancer-causing thing, the smoking.
Smoking.
So
Okay.
that you should avoid in all cost.
Okay. Do not smoke. Rest is up to you. It's your decision, your life, your choice. So this was all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for your time. Like, it was a great deal of information in a simplest way possible. And I know like you're a doctor and it's very hard to get away with the medical terminologies because you're used to it in your day-to-day life.
No problem.
Yes, so thank you so much for your time. And if you enjoyed this episode, stay tuned for next episode that's more about cancer and that is more disease-based, like specific disease-based cancer. And this was all about the general overview. That's all for today. I hope you liked it all as we did putting it up for you. Have a good time ahead. Thank you.